Hi, sweet familia, spirit familia. Steph here on Spirit-Led Steph. Showing up. Here we are. We're showing up as we are. And I've been thinking about self-love. Like, what is self-love, right? Because we're all talking about it. And it's like, can we really have self-love when we don't know what the self is? Like, if we don't know who we truly are, can we love ourselves? Or are we rooting and loving ourselves based on the things we have and the things we've accomplished, which is not the self? Right? So how do we love ourselves without connecting our worth to the things we have and the things we accomplish and the things we do and how we act and how we dress? How do we do that? And I think the invitation there is to discover what is yourself. 111 as I say that. Who am I? What is myself with a capital S? Because the self with a lowercase s is the one with the car, is the one with the job, is the role in the family, right? Is the one with the career, is the one that identifies with those. That's the one with the body that looks a certain way, that's from a certain country, right? All tied to the egoic identity, the temporary. But that's not who we are. So if we're talking about real self-love, which is the love that will truly free us, yeah, not self-care, not taking care of the body. That's something else. Those are steps that we can be guided to have certain experiences. That is not what we are rooted in, though. So the self with a capital S, that is the self that is connected to everything. That is the self that is one with all. That is the self that is the child of God. That is the self that is the Christ light. 222. That is the self that is in union, speaking of twos, in union, in perfect divine union with God, with love, with divinity. And that is a self that we carry, that we take towards everything. And we actually may be asleep to for many years of our lives. That's why we call it spiritual awakening or awakening, because we are actually asleep to that self. And then when we realize that self, when we awaken to the truth of that self, and life will always lead us, whether we believe in it or not, whether we believe in God or not, whether we're spiritual or not. It doesn't matter about the words. Life, the content of life is always guiding us to discover that self with a capital S. And the truth about it. And beyond that, it will invite us to an experience of that self, of that love. Depending on whatever practice we're in, what we feel called to, sometimes it may be through a spiritual practice. Sometimes it just may be at home with a book that opens your heart, in nature, in a moment where you feel so deeply connected to everything. God knows your script is yours. And in your script is literally made for you to discover the self that you are, the soul. Other people like to call it the soul, right? That part that is not connected to anything transient. And yet, ultimately we're spirit. We're one spirit with God, beyond soul. I would even dare to say, I don't know all the metaphysics, but I would say the soul is the one that's changing it. If we're looking at the soul as something that's also transient within the spiritual, right? Like it's learning, it's evolving, it's gaining its purity or, purifying, then it's still part of what is transient. And it's still part of the whole idea of what the mind is projecting as the human experience. 444. And so the ultimate truth is spirit. And that bridge, while we're here, while we're in this experience, while we're in this movie, in this theater setup that is here to heal our mind, that is here to help us recognize that S, because as we heal our mind, we start to recognize what that S, like capital S self is. As we start to do that, and as we heal our mind, we are doing that with the help of the Spirit. That is the bridge in this experience. And that bridge is in our mind. It's that part of the mind that the Course in Miracles is telling us. It's the spirit mind, the right mind. And so we start to gain access more to the right mind, more and more. And we start to let go of the ego mind, the fear-mindedness, right? The wrong-mindedness, quote unquote. And wrong, not because good, good and bad, right and wrong, but wrong-mindedness because it's mistaken. It's just an error. Like that beautiful definition, Greek, if you look at the definition of sin, right? A word that I had an issue with in the Bible and looking at it through the eyes of spirit and then discovering that the root, if you look at sin in Greek, right? Sorry, getting a little mosquitoes here, Florida. It's actually cold and there's mosquitoes. So just so you understand. The definition, right? Back to the definition of sin. And it is missing the mark. The Greek definition, missing the mark. So there's a target and we're just unaware of the target. And so we're shooting and trying all these different things in life to achieve happiness, to achieve joy, to achieve wholeness. And Jesus came to the earth to say, I found the mark. I can show you where the mark is. You have access to the mark, but you're missing it. Let me show you. And of course, there have been gazillion interpretations of his teachings, but he's a presence that exists now because he's part of spirit, one with the love of God. It is the mind of love. And so for me, Jesus was a really vital and, just pivotal character in this awakening to the self. The S with a capital S, because he's the guide, master teacher, brother, savior. Yes, in many ways, not in the sense of, getting on the cross and no. If we're looking at the Course in Miracles, it is teaching us beyond that. And that is beautiful because it is taking away this heaviness, this guilt that can be passed on through religion. That is not here for us. That is basically keeping us tied to the egoic system and the egoic interpretation of God and the egoic definitions and boxes of what God is, of what God's love looks like, of what it's dependent upon, and God's love is dependent upon nothing. Our actions and who we are and what we do in this world does not, and is not, God is not changing his love for us depending on that, because he knows what we truly are. And this, once again, if we're waking up, is a dream. This is an experience in the mind that we're all coming to have, to awaken to the true self that is, that has been sleeping. Sorry, the true self from, we're awakening to the true self from the self that has been sleeping. So what is self-love? Self-love is beginning to, and this has been my experience, right? I can only speak from my experience and what I've witnessed of others on the path. It's beginning to love that part of you so much, to trust so deeply in that essence, be rooted in God so deeply that you start to live a life of trust, a spirit-led life, a life of flow, because a spirit-led life is a life of flow. It's a life of trust, of spontaneity, of living in the moment, moment to moment. Do we escape the moment sometimes? Yes. Are we going to guilt trip ourselves? No. We're going to be true to what's showing up. Oops, yep, got there. Reacted to that. But now we have a vision, we have a target, we understand, and we choose again, like the Course in Miracles says, which takes away all the guilt. In this moment, you can always choose again, 1001, as I say that. Right? Releasing all this guilt. Oh, I did it wrong. I got this wrong. I'm going to hell. That's the indoctrination that we've had. Our hell is here. When we don't know who we are, when we're running after things that are temporary, when we're not rooted in love, we can definitely experience hell. And that is a state of mind, and so is heaven. But when we wake up to that self with a capital S, we can start to live a life of self-love, which is a love to that divine, a love that is connecting everything, a love that is in every action that I do, in every decision that I make, in every thought that I hold, as much as I can, right? We're figuring it out as we go along. 1101. We are figuring it out. We give ourselves grace. How is it that we can give ourselves grace and we can give ourselves love? And love is God. Love is something outside of us, or we believe that. We give it to ourselves because we've been given it. Right? It is a fountain, it is a well that we hold because we are the bearers of love, the bringers of love, of light. We are the ones who hold it because we are the children of the greatest love, God. Light, right? Beyond the boxes, beyond the institutions, beyond the religious definitions. God, bigger, deeper. Personal, here, now, God. Hold on, here we go. God made my cell phone drop. That's how big it is. Oh man, there's some kayakers coming through. This is so typical Florida. Anyhow, let's experience this self-love by starting to experience a more spirit-led life, right? Follow your intuition. And how do we follow our intuition? We also start to be more authentic with who we are, what we feel, what's good for us, what's not good for us. So that we can be more clear in our mind. We don't have those blockages in our mind about what other people think, about what we should be doing, of what's, right and wrong, judging others, holding grievances, right? That's the work. Starting to do the work to let that go free so that we can show up as we are. And when we start showing up more as we are, we can start trusting more, right? That other video I made about confidence. Confidence is tied to this self-love with a capital S. Because that self with a capital S is in a state of abundance, is in a state of peace, of grace, of pure love, beyond romantic relationships. It is a state. It is not something dependent on something coming from somewhere else. No. It is a place I am in the mind. So I bring it because I have access to the mind, right? The mind is mine. So I bring it. I bring the love. 333. That's my Jesus number, 333. So we bring the love to ourselves. We have the fountain. And as we do that, as we give, so do we receive. Because we are all connected. Love is to be given. Love is to be felt. Love is to be thought. And love is always present and accessible. And knowing that, trusting that, moving through with that love as your foundation allows you to live a life where you do love yourself, because yourself is no longer dependent on the things that are transient. Yourself is no longer identified with your withering body, with dust, how the Bible says, with all the things that will turn to dust and moths will come in. All of that is not what defines yourself. Even this, right? This cute little jacket and this thing. Yeah. Nope. Doesn't define me. I may feel cold and I may be attracted to it, but the moment I put it on, I know it's not me. And it's that work of remembering, what is the real self? What am I really loving? Who am I truly? And in that same time, using my personality, enjoying the ride, but not being attached to it, because then I'm falling for the wrong self and the wrong type of love. Actually, it's just not love. It's not the wrong, right? It's the absence of it. It's holding on. It's grasping onto an illusion that actually doesn't exist. And therefore, it's not rooted, and therefore is not real. And therefore, when you count on it, it's going to be gone. But our self-love comes to the self, the God self, the Christ self, that self that was created, given to us, that we are here to emanate, to live. And by emanating and gifting it, we love ourselves back, because the love is one. The love is one. So that's it. Let's start redefining what self-love means. It's not about self-care, even though that's a beautiful thing when it's needed. It's so much bigger than that. And loving the self is loving your brothers as they are. Very important aspect before I finish this video. Loving the self is not only knowing that I'm rooted in God, or that my identity is this Christ, right, light identity. It is also knowing that that person is the Christ light identity. And for me to love the self is to love all of the self, because we are all images of that one self, of that one love, of that one light. Whether we know it or not, whether their behavior shows it or not, whether they've awoken to that or not, doesn't matter. Doesn't take it away from them. And the more we love them for their true selves with a capital S, we will experience. It will expand us, because it's all connected. It's one. It's one. Loving them is loving ourselves. Loving myself is loving the other. It is one and the same. When it is the self with the capital S, when it is rooted in the light of love, in who we truly are. Jamming to Sade. Jamming. He's riding a bike and jamming to Sade. Okay. Wishing you all a beautiful day. Thank you for being with me here. Once again, I'm Steph, and this is Spirit-Led Steph. And whether we call it a spirit-led journey or just a journey of the heart, following the heart, right? Not the heart, that the romantic heart, right? We confuse that. That may be another video for another day. We can't, that's an egoic interpretation of the heart. Just the journey of the heart, spirit-led, or a life of flow, all the same thing, all pointing to the same experience. This is where we're headed, folks. And this is how we can lead a life of love, of self-love. It is inclusive of all others and of ourselves. Have a beautiful day. Until next time.